I am the Director of Operations here at the Phoenix BBB, so I oversee what we consider to be our core service departments. That includes our conciliation and engagement team, which handles all of our complaints that we receive and the customer reviews that we receive. We also have an investigations and trade practices team. So this team looks into the businesses that we're investigating, any types of ad review, red flags, just industry trade practices. So we do that as well. And then we have an information specialist team. They're the ones that are generally on the phone with the public when people call in, want to know just general information, those types of things. So again, that's kind of our core services there. So day-to-day deal with that. I always tease that I'm definitely not the person that gets the really fun phone calls of how much people love BBB and how grateful they are for us. Usually when I have to take a phone call, it's because it's been escalated so high up. And what the great news is that I really don't recognize any of your business names, which is actually good because you don't want me to recognize any of your business names because then that means there's a problem there. So thank you guys, though, for joining us. We're going to kind of go over some just customer reviews in general. We're going to do a little bit of a background on why customer reviews are important. You know, they're the next big thing that's coming up. Kind of go over our particular process here at the BBB with customer reviews. Some tips that we have for when you receive the negative reviews, how to kind of handle those, and then just how to kind of promote your customer reviews as well. Okay? All right, so we'll start off with customer reviews are everywhere. You guys will see now it's not just one or two sites anymore. It's everything. It's for food. It's for travel sites. It's for service industries. It's BBB. It's Yelp. It's eBay. It's Google. It's Amazon. It's everywhere, and it is not going anywhere. If anything, it's just going to continue exploding. So what I like to tell people is you just got to jump on board. You just have to get with it, figure out how you're going to handle them, because it's going to happen. That's just the way that we're going now. BBB, we really, really love customer reviews. I will tell you that we recently, our BBB, started customer reviews back in about 2011. We were one of the first BBBs out of the entire system. For those of you who don't know, that we do have BBBs. There's about 113 of us now internationally. We have locations in Canada, Mexico, and all throughout the United States. So our particular BBB was one of the very first to start customer reviews. We kept getting feedback. Honestly, it was from businesses. Hey, people just go to the BBB when they want to complain, when they want to say something negative. But what about all that great stuff? What about all the customers that are happy with my work? There's no way for them to provide their feedback. Great. Hey, I had a great experience here. So you trust that because obviously you trust them. So 3.94 out of 5 stars, people say, I will go with someone that my family or friend has recommended. You'll see 3.9 out of 5 stars for rating sources. For, obviously institutions like the BBB, Yelp and Google and things like that. They're going to look at the rating. They want to see what is it that their rating is. So the rating overall is important. But you'll see here that 3.83 out of 5 are online reviews. That's huge. That's saying that really affects somebody's decision as to what they're going to purchase or select your company for service. So again, keep in mind. I also included in here the Canadian numbers just because I know that we're Arizona and we do get a lot of snowbirds in. So it's kind of, interesting to see again how they think. So 92% read reviews to determine the quality of a local business. So this is for all types of industries and businesses. 88% of consumers read up to 10 before they truly trust a business. So a lot of times people may say, okay, I only have a couple reviews. It's okay, at least I have a few. No, generate as much as you can. Again, positive, negative, neutral even, but I know more positive. So is generate those reviews. People are going to look through them. They're going to glance through them. They could be small. They could be big. But people really want to get different people because they're not really just going to trust maybe one or two. They want to see a few different people out there. They want to see different perspectives. So people say usually, I got to read at least up to 10 before I know that I feel like I truly trust a business. Okay, so consumers use and expert consumer reviews to make purchasing decisions. We need trusted sites for trusted reviews. That's why I would say BBB is very, very different. There's a lot of things that people really come to the BBB for trusted information. They know that BBB has been around for over 100 years. There must be something that we're doing right, but we stand for ethics. We're not just, hey, we'll give you reviews, but we'll place them in different order. We'll hide the negatives. We'll, how much will you pay us? We'll remove this. We'll change that. That's not necessarily how we work. We say the feedback is the feedback. Here's how it is. It's all placed in the same area. I know you might go to some other sites and you'll see a lot of the positives, and then you got to, like, at the very bottom, click to the next page to see the negatives or the ones that have kind of been hidden or blocked. No, with us, you're going to see it all on one page right there. Here's the customer reviews. Click to see positive, negative, and neutral. But timely and relevant are provided, from a first person's perspective. So again, people a lot of times are going to write very timely reviews. It's very unlikely that somebody's going to log in 2 years after their product to then tell you how they liked it or didn't. Usually it's right away, so and people feel like, hey, this is somebody who just got the product, who just tried on the outfit, who just got the service done to their vehicle, who just, bought the new mop. And they're going to give you their first initial, hey, here's what I thought, here's how it felt. So you can count on the reviews always being very, very timely. Feedback and responses build relationships between the buyer and seller. Again, hearing this feedback back and forth and even interacting with that consumer back and forth, hey, thanks for that feedback. Thanks for letting me know, about this. Or because of your feedback, we fixed this or we've done that. We see the power of this in social media, a lot with Facebook even. How often does somebody go and rant and say, oh my gosh, I'm never going to shop here again. This was my experience. And then when you see that business reply back and kind of interact with them, hey, we're so sorry that you experienced this way. Thanks for letting us know. We'd love to work with you. Call our office. It kind of shows another perspective like, wow, they really were taking care of it. But you're seeing that relationship go back and forth. It's not just one party and thinking, wow, they must not have cared. It's really seeing that relationship build, which is important to consumers who are deciding what company do they want to spend their money with. Consumers like to see both sides. Again, just like I said, they really want to see. Sometimes consumers will say, wow, this person filed this review, and that seems a little ridiculous. I wouldn't expect a company to call me back in 30 minutes either. It's AC and in July, and they're pretty busy. So it's kind of good to see the other side of things. So again, always providing your feedback, your response as well. Even for positive, just thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're glad you enjoy it. We are happy you came. Please come see us again. Just to kind of see and interact both sides is very important. One of the biggest things is internet likes user-generated content. So this is really, really big, and we're going to kind of go into what this is. But user-generated content, if you haven't heard of it yet, be sure to get on board with this because this is something that's going to be really big. We'll talk about in the next few slides. So the next one is, where is the most common place to read a positive customer review? So about 2/3 recall reading 63% negative and 69% positive. 58% of consumers are more likely to share their experience with others than 5 years ago. Again, this is a growing trend. It's only getting bigger. Now that people feel like they can do it quick, fast, just share their experience, they're really jumping on the bandwagon. And really, with those millennials, you have to know this is the way that it's only going to continue to trend. We're not going to be going backwards. So kind of look at that and be aware of that. Who is really filing reviews? It looks to be, when we look at the demographic of things, it's women. Tends to be more women. 53.2% of the individuals are women. And it's between the ages of 25 and 34. So what does that mean for you? It means be really nice to women between the ages of 25 and 34 because they're going to be the ones filing the reviews on you. So again, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at and who's on the other end. Women, we love to just share our experiences, positive, negative. We will tell you when we're not happy for the most part, and we will tell you when we're so happy with you. So we're very obviously more emotional and a little bit just that way. So just kind of to get some background on who exactly is doing that. And then you kind of see an age breakdown here. 31% are between the ages of 18 and 34, 41% are between the ages of 35 and 54, and then 28% are 55 and older. So what is kind of, who's influencing these reviews? So we kind of looked at, okay, there's a lot of research that our council, Better Business Bureaus has kind of done to say, okay, so when people look at reviews, how many of them are actually, does this affect their purchase, of what company they're going to actually select? So it looks like ratings and online reviews have a high influence on purchasing decision. 88% of consumers who have seen reviews claim that's what influenced their decision to buy. So you'll kind of see on the chart here on that page that there's a ranking of, family and friend recommendation. Obviously, a lot of people, you're going to go with who your family and your friends say, hey, I used them. Hey, they were great. Hey, I had a great experience here. So you trust that because obviously you trust that. So 3.94 out of 5 stars, people say, I will go with someone that my family or friend has recommended. You'll see 3.9 3.9 out of 5 stars for rating sources. For, obviously institutions like the BBB, Yelp and Google and things like that. They're going to look at the rating. They want to see what is it that their rating is. So the rating overall is important. But you'll see here that 3.83 out of 5 are online reviews. That's huge. That's saying that really affects somebody's decision as to what they're going to purchase or select your company for service. So again, keep in mind. I also included in here the Canadian numbers just because I know that we're Arizona and we do get a lot of snowbirds in. So it's kind of, interesting to see, again, how they think. So 92% read reviews to determine the quality of a local business. So this is for all types of industries and businesses. 88% of consumers read up to 10 before they truly trust a business. So a lot of times people may say, okay, I only have a couple reviews. It's okay, at least I have a few. No, generate as much as you can. Again, positive, negative, neutral even, but I know more positive. So is generate those reviews. People are going to look through them. They're going to glance through them. They could be small, they could be big, but people really want to get different people because they're not really just going to trust maybe one or two. They want to see a few different people out there. They want to see different perspectives. So people say usually, I got to read at least up to 10 before I know that I feel like I truly trust a business. Okay, so consumers use and expert consumer reviews to make purchasing decisions. We need trusted sites for trusted reviews. That's why I would say BBB is very, very different. There's a lot of things that people really come to the BBB for trusted information. They know that BBB has been around for over 100 years. There must be something that we're doing right, but we stand for ethics. We're not just, hey, we'll give you reviews, but we'll place them in different order. We'll hide the negatives. We'll, how much will you pay us? We'll remove this. We'll change that. That's not necessarily how we work. We say the feedback is the feedback. Here's how it is. It's all placed in the same area. I know you might go to some other sites and you'll see a lot of the positives, and then you got to, at the very bottom, click to the next page to see the negatives or the ones that have kind of been hidden or blocked. No, with us, you're going to see it all on one page right there. Here's the customer reviews. Click to see positive, negative, and neutral. But timely and relevant are provided, from a first person's perspective. So again, people a lot of times are going to write very timely reviews. It's very unlikely that somebody's going to log in 2 years after their product to then tell you how they liked it or didn't. Usually it's right away, so and people feel like, hey, this is somebody who just got the product, who just tried on the outfit, who just got the service done to their vehicle, who just, bought the new mop. And they're going to give you their first initial, hey, here's what I thought, here's how it felt. So you can count on the reviews always being very, very timely. Feedback and responses build relationships between the buyer and seller. Again, hearing this feedback back and forth and even interacting with that consumer back and forth, hey, thanks for that feedback. Thanks for letting me know, about this. Or because of your feedback, we fixed this or we've done that. We see the power of this in social media, a lot with Facebook even. How often does somebody go and rant and say, oh my gosh, I'm never going to shop here again. This was my experience. And then when you see that business reply back and kind of interact with them, hey, we're so sorry that you experienced this way. Thanks for letting us know. We'd love to work with you. Call our office. It kind of shows another perspective like, wow, they really were taking care of it. But you're seeing that relationship go back and forth. It's not just one party and thinking, wow, they must not have cared. It's really seeing that relationship build, which is important to consumers who are deciding what kind of company do they want to spend their money with. Consumers like to see both sides. Again, just like I said, they really want to see. Sometimes consumers will say, wow, this person filed this review, and that seems a little ridiculous. I wouldn't expect a company to call me back in 30 minutes either. It's AC and in July, and they're pretty busy. So it's kind of good to see the other side of things. So again, always providing your feedback, your response as well. Even for positive, just thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're glad you enjoy it. We are happy you came. Please come see us again. Just to kind of see and interact both sides is very important. One of the biggest things is internet likes user-generated content. So this is really, really big, and we're going to kind of go into what this is. But user-generated content, if you haven't heard of it yet, be sure to get on board with this because this is something that's going to be really big we'll talk about in the next few slides. So the next one is, where is the most common place to read a positive customer review? So about 2/3 recall reading 63% negative and 69% positive. 58% of consumers are more likely to share their experience with others than 5 years ago. Again, this is a growing trend. It's only getting bigger. Now that people feel like they can do it quick, fast, just share their experience, they're really jumping on the bandwagon. And really with those millennials, you have to know this is the way that it's only going to continue to trend. We're not going to be going backwards. So kind of look at that and be aware of that. Who is really filing reviews? It looks to be, when we look at the demographic of things, it's women. Tends to be more women. 53.2% of the individuals are women. And it's between the ages of 25 and 34. So what does that mean for you? It means be really nice to women between the ages of 25 and 34, because they're going to be the ones filing the reviews on you. So again, just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at and who's on the other end. I mean, women, we love to just share our experiences, positive, negative. We will tell you when we're not happy, for the most part, and we will tell you when we're so happy with you. So we're very obviously more emotional, a little bit just that way. So just kind of to get some background on who exactly is doing that. And then you kind of see an age breakdown here. 31% are between the ages of 18 and 34, 41% are between the ages of 35 and 54, and then 28% are 55 and older. So kind of just gives you guys a little bit of breakdown to know who is on the other side of that and who is more likely to be filing those reviews. So like I mentioned before, user-generated content. So this is becoming more influential than media. A lot of money in the past used to be spent with media and things like that, and we're seeing so many more businesses now who are just saying, hey, I just want the everyday user to be my form of media now. I want them to be on board with my product and my service, and I want them to be the ones that are actually giving my recommendation and spreading the word out there. So it says here that UGC is 35% more memorable than other media. And user-generated content is 50% more trusted than other media. So again, it's really becoming big that people are starting to trust their peers, others that have actually experienced these things. It kind of goes through on the next page. You'll get to see some cool little graphics here. But the user-generated content helps buy. 20% is more influential purchase than any other media types. And you'll see right here with millennials, it looks like 59% of millennials when it comes to electronics are going to be looking for reviews. They want to know what TV is the best. What can you do with that TV? How did you experience? You should see now, how many times now do people pull up YouTube for things? Hey, before I purchased, I know myself, I was like, before I purchased a new case for my phone, I don't know if I want this version or this version. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go online. I'm going to hear somebody talk about it and give me their personal reviews on which one they thought was a better fit. Vehicles, 54% of people are looking at, what did you say about the car? Yeah, the car salesman is going to tell me everything that's great about the car and why I need the car and why it's the best car for me. But I really want to hear the person that took the car from Phoenix to San Diego. How was their drive? What was their experience? What happened? When something maybe went wrong with the vehicle, how was it fixed? How was the dealership with taking that criticism, or how did they resolve it? So that's really important. Major appliances, 53%. Again, you're getting a lot of people who are like, hey, this is the newest product, this is the newest appliance, but is it really that much better? Is it really different than what I previously have? Should I go spend the money on this? 46% is with mobile phones. Again, you're looking at a really big for millennials and generation thing is, hey, do I really want to go spend this few hundred for the phone? What is so much better and different about it? Because again, as a business, you're only going to show me what you want me to see, what you want me to take into account, but you're not really going to tell me all the feedback I'm going to get. 45% with hotel choices. I'm actually surprised it's not a little bit higher, but I think that one is huge. How often do you go somewhere and you're like, these pictures look great, but I want to know when I really get there, what is it going to be like? And how is that service? Because let me tell you, pictures can be deceiving. So it's really important. People are looking at that. They're wanting to see how was the other people's experience. And sometimes people might say, hey, you know what? It was affordable for the cost. I knew it wasn't going to be the best looking, but they were so nice. They were so accommodating. They were great. I had a great experience. I would definitely do it again. So again, know that their opinion does matter, and it's going to sometimes outweigh how pretty something looks as to how really great was it. And 40% is with travel plans. Again, people are going places that they may have never been before. Even with us here, a lot of people might be coming to Arizona. They want great weather. They love, spring training time, or they're coming in to visit family. They're not really quite sure what to do or where to go or who to turn to. This isn't where they're familiar with. So they're going to be looking to others to say, hey, where did you go? What did you do? What did you experience when you were here? let's see some other stuff. So what do small business owners think? 50% know that it's important for their business to receive positive online reviews. 43% of online reviews are unfair because they don't verify that people who leave the reviews are actual customers. So again, that is something that BBB does differently. There's a lot of different mechanisms that we have in place. My team, every single morning that handles customer reviews, the very first thing they do in the morning is they spend their first half hour to hour of their day just reviewing customer reviews. They're looking through them. They're reading every single one. We have a log process where we actually want to sit there and we want to look. And when we see funny names sometimes, because some people make up really funny names, as their screen names and things like that, we're reaching out to say, hey, we understand you just want to put a funny name. Maybe you want to remain anonymous, but we need to know about it. We need to know who you are. We have to have the right to give the business the information as well. Maybe they want to reach out to you directly and work it out with you or things like that. But we have a lot of in place that we want to make sure. Sometimes we'll see trends like the same kind of names or just various spellings, and we have to kind of scratch our head sometimes and go, really? Did Alicia and Ashley and Kelsey and these names that all look very, very similar, or is this maybe the business generating some of these themselves or things like that? So we definitely take a look into trends and things that are happening to make sure that they are verified. And 80% of businesses do not ask their customers to post reviews. Which again is really crazy because you would think you'd want that feedback, even if it's great feedback, to just know what people are liking so you keep doing. So it's important, again, that businesses aren't really asking for it, but consumers are still doing it. Whether you ask for it or not, they're going to do it. So just kind of be aware of that maybe it's best to reach out to them when you know that they've had a great experience with your company to try to gain that positive customer review feedback. But again, know that most businesses aren't even asking for it, but you're going to have your consumers who are going to put it out there. Okay, so how are BBB customer reviews different? So just to kind of give you guys some statistics of where we're at, last year, our particular office, this is just for our BBB, we received over 19,000 customer reviews for the year. Year to date, so just in September, and I just pulled this number like 2 days ago, we are already at 17,000. So we are on track for the rest of this year because we still have at least another full fourth, quarter left. We are going to super exceed that number. We now average a little over 2,000 customer reviews a month that my team sees. So again, this is generating huge. It's gotten so much bigger. We are Phoenix BBB here. We are the leaders in receiving the most customer reviews than any other BBB throughout the country or even Canada or Mexico as well. So again, we're really, really big here. We know that the phenomenon is catching on quickly. We want to do our best to keep up with it and make sure that you guys are educated and informed of how to handle it. As you see here, as an accredited business, 81% of the reviews that we're receiving are positive. So that's obviously, sometimes that surprises people a lot that, wow, people are actually telling you the good stuff. Yes, we let people know. We want the feedback. Positive, negative, good. Obviously, we hope it's positive, but we want that feedback. So 81% of the feedback we get from ABs is positive. Whereas only 40% of the feedback we get for non-accredited businesses is positive. That's because a lot of those people are sharing when they've been scammed or duped or things like that. They're really sharing their feedback, letting others know, hey, be aware when they come to your door, knock on the door and say that they're doing this. I gave a check. I never received my product. Also, Phoenix tends to be a really big hotspot for a little bit more of scam companies, especially in Scottsdale. You'd be surprised how many times we always see their addresses in Scottsdale there. A lot of people will come and buy rent for like 6 months prepay, scam a lot of people, and then they leave. I think it's just kind of due to, especially we see a little bit more rise with that when we know we have a lot of elderly folks that come over here for snowbirds in the fall, winter season. They kind of know they're here, they're local, they're gonna, you know what I mean, they're ready to go. And so we notice us in Florida. Florida's also another one that really gets a lot of scam companies that go there as well. We think it's just the great weather. They know people are there year round. They know there's going to be a lot of people in town. So kind of just gives you guys some numbers there. So what is our process for when we receive a customer review? We review, like I said, each and every single customer review before it gets posted. Every single one that we receive, we actually review it. And we send it right away to the business. As soon as it comes to us, it gets sent to the business as an opportunity to review it, to let us know if it's not your customer. Again, maybe you've searched your database, you have no idea who this is, you can't find them. you just don't know, and you're like, I don't think this could be a real customer of mine. I don't remember this situation ever happening. So we definitely give it to you guys as an opportunity. What we even do is we provide you with 72 hours before we actually post the review. And that's something that's a lot different than other review sites. A lot of other review sites, as soon as you click submit, boom, it's up there, it's on. Could already be doing damage right away. But we at least send it to you and we say, hey, take the time to look through it, check it out, what are they claiming, speak to your employees that maybe interacted with it or anything like that. A lot of businesses at times will right away respond, especially if it's positive, they respond. And if you respond faster than that 72 hours, then we'll go ahead and post it as soon as you respond. Does that make sense? So you either have 72 hours. So sometimes I'll tell businesses, if you really feel like you got to look into it, take that full 72 hours before you just submit a response. Don't reply just with, oh, okay, I'll look into it, thanks. You know what I mean? Because now you're going to post it a little sooner. So take the time to actually look into that. BBB does not post any. Oh, should I push?
We have option to say don't post.
There's an option if you know not to say don't post. If it's not your customer, you can let us know and it'll come back to us and then we'll reach out to that customer. But we do post the reviews that we receive. BBB does not post any anonymous reviews. So that's really big. Like I just told you before, they can create an anonymous screen name to be displayed. That's fine. But as far as to the BBB and to the business, you're going to know who posted that review. You're going to know that name. So we don't just say somebody, again, you can't just make up a name. It's kind of like court of law. You have the right to face your accuser, right? Like you want to know who said this about you. So that's something a little bit different that we do. We, again, don't just let anybody who makes up a name, if they're going to be able to provide the review, they have to at least submit their real name to the BBB and to the business. They can come up with their own screen name to be shown. We send the submissions to the business, allowing them time to provide additional feedback. So one thing, too, is if the consumer replies, you respond, and the consumer replies back again, we send that information to you. Now, as far as I'll get kind of into my do's and don'ts, I personally would not recommend going back and forth. It's hard. I know a lot of times businesses are like, but they went back again. I want to justify myself one more time. But it just kind of comes to a point where it looks like you're just kind of going back and forth a little bit. You look a little childish at times because it's like, give your one good response in, build it, look into it, stand strong in it, but don't really fight the fight of going back and forth with them. And you'd be surprised how many businesses I do see that go back and forth with them. And while it's great entertainment for whoever's reading it, it's not really showing your business in the best light. But again, if anything, we do at least send that over to you to say, hey, they did comment back again. And a lot of times, just so you guys know as well, is people may start off with a negative review, and the business may end up reaching out to them. They correct the issue, so maybe the business responds with, hey, thank you so much for your feedback. It was a great meeting you yesterday. I'm happy we were able to resolve the issue and take care of it. And you might actually get a customer who does submit what we call like a rebuttal, another response back that does say, hey, yeah, it was great. I really appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time to read my review and fixing it. So it doesn't always have to be that their comment back is always negative. Sometimes they're like, hey, other consumers, just be aware that this issue did end up getting resolved. So that's kind of great too.
I have two questions on your review process, the actual physical online aspect. When as a business, we log into our account, there's the button option to say this is a customer and this is not a customer.
Yes.
And then the only button after that is to submit a comment. But if we don't fill anything else in there, is that is the customer that posts that review who's not actually a customer notified right away?
No, we pull a report. So when you select that, they're not notified at all that you've selected it. It's us. We pull a report and we say who's been selected as not a customer, and then we reach out ourselves. We provide that consumer with 3 business days to get back to us with some sort of substantiation or proof that they actually are a customer. If they don't, you'll never see it or hear about it again. It'll just remain as not a customer. If they do, we'll reach out back out to you and supply you with, hey, maybe they went under a different name. It was a husband and a wife, something like that.
Now, can we contact the BBB and say, please don't reach out to this customer who's not a customer? Because, like, for example, we recently, this was from maybe 6 months ago, had one, which was essentially a threat to us that he was going to sue us once he bought our product. He's not one of our customers, so he never purchased the product to this day. But I'd rather not have anyone reach out to him and stir that pot anymore.
I would say case by case. That'd probably be something I don't necessarily know for a fact. I mean, our goal is obviously to, again, our normal policy and practice would be to reach out. I mean, obviously, if there's a case by case situation, we can look at that as well.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever been sued for getting involved in the review process?
No. No. No, that's kind of one of the things is that we, again, when people submit customer reviews, they are checking a box that says, everything that I'm posting is true to my true to my reflection and accuracy of the issue. So they check box, which takes the liability off of BBB because this consumer is saying this is their experience that's real and true. We didn't type it for them. That's one thing that we're really big about is whenever something gets posted, whether it's a complaint or a customer review, we ourselves are not the author. We don't type it for them. We don't write it for them. Nothing that it comes straight from them. They have boxes they have to check to authorize that they're responsible for what is being posted. Okay, so one other thing, we validate the email addresses of all reviews. So this one is really big as well. When a customer review is submitted by the customer, they will go ahead and receive a validation email that will be sent right away to the email address that they typed in. Again, this is a way so that people aren't just saying 123@gmail.com, 456@gmail.com. We want to verify this is a real email address. So consumers have to go in there and actually log in and click a link that says, please verify here. If we don't hear back with them within so many days, 3 days, we're going to send them another email that says, hey, make sure that you go in there and click that, you haven't clicked this link yet, make sure you click this link. We get a lot of businesses at times that will say, hey, I got this positive review, why didn't it post? I would say 90% of the time, the reason it didn't post is because your consumer didn't verify their email address. Even though a notification tells them that they're going to be sent an email to verify it, people just kind of submit it, and they walk out, they leave, they exit, and do something else. So it is important that they log back in and make sure that it's verified. So that could be, again, if you ever receive a review and you're feeling like, why wasn't this posted? I'm sure it's because they didn't verify. So we want to make sure they're all verified. If the consumer, for any reason, is unable to find the email, they can send us an email from the email address that they submitted the review with. Does that make sense? So again, this is to help protect that they are genuine and true, and it's not just the business saying, oh, well, I'm replying from my email to them, for them, that it was them. You know what I mean? We're really doing our best to say these are coming from actual valid email addresses and from individuals who own these email addresses. In some instances, works with both the consumer and the business to help work through an issue. So there will be times when we receive a customer review, and like I've stated before, I'll see the back and forth go. And BBB ourselves, we may come to a point where we may interject a little bit and say, this may be something where you actually want us to file a complaint. Because with a complaint, we're actually going to help you go back and forth. We're going to kind of be that neutral third party. With a review, we really stay out of it. It really is just the feedback of the customer and the business. We kind of just step aside. So there may be times when we kind of do interject a little bit and say, hey, we want to help you guys work through this. Let's kind of take this offline for a second here. Let's go file a complaint, and let's have our staff here kind of help bring you guys to a resolution. Maybe a conference call needs to happen. Maybe we need to step in and just kind of see both sides of things. So we do offer that as well. Again, even with customer reviews, a lot of times the company might say, I don't know, she won't let me go to her house. I want to fix the issue, but they won't let me in. Or I told her to bring back the car, but she won't bring it back. So again, this is an opportunity where BBB may reach out to the other party and just say, hey, they're wanting to work with you. They're willing to work with you. Would you please provide them with this opportunity? And it uses the data to help investigate businesses. So we don't just, get all this information and do nothing with it. If we see a business that has, for example, an A+ rating, but yet they have 60 negative reviews, this is a red flag for us. We're like, wow, while a lot of people may not be going to file complaints, because we've seen a really big decrease in the number of complaints we're getting, people are clearly letting us know that they're not happy with their services and something's going on with this business. So we look at this data, we pull reports. The same with the other way. If we see an F-rated company, but they're getting, a bunch of positive reviews, this allows us the opportunity to kind of look at that as well and say, hey, maybe we need to reach out to this company and see if they would be willing to work with us. Why do they have this low rating? But it seems like people are really happy with their product. It may also be like, are these real? We got to look at that too. It obviously has a low rating, but a lot of positive. What's going on here? So we definitely use the data to look into investigations into companies.
Okay, so I probably got a little confused. So there's two tracks. There's filing a review, saying a negative thing about business, and then there's a complaint process and they're different?
Yes.
So what you're saying is consumers will just put something in your website, but the process of filing a complaint is a formal process with the BBB?
Correct. So in a couple slides here, we're going to go over the differences of what the two really are. But yes, so we have customer reviews and we have filing a complaint. BBB in the past used to just really be based upon filing. That's what most people know us for, right? I agree with you when I have an issue. But like before when I mentioned that, we got a lot of feedback from businesses saying, well, what about all my positive things that I'm doing? What about all the good stuff? But really just what we're finding with the trends of just how, user-generated content is just really escalating is people want quick, fast, and they're not always looking for something. Does that make sense? With customer reviews, they just, well, and it could be positive. They just want to say, great job, loved them, they came, on time, would use them again. Or negative, but they're just looking to share their experience. Hey, I went, yeah, I got my product, it was fine, but I had to call them 20 times to get it. It was annoying. Just want to let others know. You know what I mean? So people are just wanting to share their experience. We still have the complaint process, but I would say when I first started 7 years ago, I actually started as a complaint handler. We used to receive a little over 3,000 complaints a month. That was just complaints. Now, my team averages probably about 1,600 complaints a month, but yet we have 2,000 customer reviews a month. So we're still getting that 3,000 number, if you get it, you know what I mean? People are still coming to us the same amount. It's just that people are picking, I'd rather do a review than I would a complaint. The complaint process also can be a little bit more lengthier. I'm not saying like months and months, but I'm just saying it could take up to 30 days because we're going to kind of go back and forth. Again, we're getting more involved. We're trying our best to resolve it, where reviews are quick. So that's what people are really wanting. They just want to be fast. So some things to do when you do receive that negative review, which again, I can promise you and tell you that every business is not going to make every single customer satisfied. You are more than likely, especially if you're promoting reviews, which I encourage you to, you're also going to get the negative reviews at times. So things I kind of have for do's and don'ts or to be aware of. One thing to do as far as do's, decide who should handle reviews. This is really, really big for me. A lot of times, business owners feel like they should be the ones who respond to reviews because they own the company, right? They're the ones in charge. They want to be in the loop, and that's fine. We have the option where we could still send the review to you, and you could still look at it, but really decide in your office who is the best to respond. If you're somebody who's a hothead, you think very emotionally, you respond very quickly, maybe you aren't the best one to truly respond and address these things. I have dealt with business owners who I later have to have their attorneys call me to apologize and ask if they could please remove their response because they told their client, don't respond, or it shouldn't be from you, let it be from me, let it be from so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And they don't listen because, again, they're the owners, they're decision makers, they take it super personal. And I get it. I do get it. It is your company. You want to defend your company and make it right. But, again, really think about, are you truly the best? Is there someone else in your office, someone else in management that you really trust? We now have a lot of companies who've even created their own BBB email address or their own even little person that maybe handles any complaints from anywhere. Their sole job is just to kind of go online and look through places and be responding to Attorney General's office, BBB, Yelp, Google. I mean, that's kind of their sole position because they just know how to kind of word something or say something. You could still get your message across the same, but just always think, am I truly the best one that should be responding to this? Or pick a person that you trust and feel like should be. Take an objective look. So again, I totally get it as a business. You're very much of, this is not true, this would never happen, this didn't happen, they're making it up, they're not being truthful. Try your best to kind of just see it from kind of a higher up view. Is this maybe how it could look? Is this, was this maybe not said like this way, but I could see how maybe they thought that it was said that way. Or, they're claiming this promise, and that's not a promise we would make, but maybe they misunderstood this part. Look at, is there something that they're signing? Is there a way that we're selling? Pull the calls maybe if it's over the phone. Hey, you promised me this, you told me that. Your website says this, I thought this. Take a look at it. Look and see, is it possible that this could be seen in a different way? I'm not always saying that business is wrong or anything like that. I'm just saying try your best to look at it as a different angle and just see if you could understand as a consumer if it looks a little differently. Research the situation and incident. So take the time. Like I said, you get 72 hours from the BBB, but really this is advice for any review site that you have. Take the time to actually look into the issue. Again, just don't say that's not something we would do, that's not our policy. Maybe speak to the individual that worked with them. You know what, they're saying that they were promised this, or that they were told the product was like that, or they could cancel at any time, or they could break the contract, or things like that. Maybe speak to the individual. Maybe you pull the call. Maybe, there are times when I have even newer employees that I'm like, that's not exactly how we do it. I know it's maybe what you saw or what you heard or what somebody told you, but this isn't how it works. So there's always an opportunity to just kind of research the incident, speak to those involved. Take time to respond. Again, really kind of set out time. I get a lot of times businesses who will say, I just don't have the time, I'm busy. Take and make the time to respond. It's so important that you take the time to address these. Again, even positive or negative. Dedicate yourself. Again, maybe your first 30 minutes when you walk in for the day, hey, I'm going to address any issues. I'm going to look at any complaints. I'm going to look at any feedback. I'm going to just sit here. I'm going to actually take the time. I get a lot of business, not a lot, but I will say in my time here, I've had a few businesses that have called and said, well, when I responded, I was in a rush. I was going through a lot. I was upset about this. I was going through something. So I don't really like how I responded, because now a few days later, or a few weeks later, they're rereading it and seeing how it may have came across. So it's kind of one of those things of take the time. Just dedicate a few minutes of your time. These are your customers. This is their opinion of your company. You want to make sure you're really taking it all into consideration. And then just respond with tact. Again, I've had businesses, I had one business at time pointing out the other party's spelling errors in their review. I think you meant this word, not this word, or you said there, but I think you meant this there. And it was just something that was like, again, I understood he was upset, but it was just looking at the thing like, and you really made yourself no better than he was by pointing these out. And now as a consumer, I don't know if I want to go to you, because what if I make a mistake or say something wrong? Now you're going to be pointing that out at me. So again, just take the time. It's, again, very personal. I understand that. But just take a moment to kind of just be above that and respond in a very professional manner. Okay, so don't offer an incentive or bribe to consumers to file a review. So this one's really big, and if for BBB wise, we really count against it. We will remove your reviews if there's a bribe involved. So it is important. Do not offer an incentive or bribe to have a review or to even have it removed. It's really just not good business practices. You as a consumer yourself, would you be happy if you went to a site and saw all positives but had no idea that the business was just bribing people to remove their negatives? I mean, a lot of times businesses don't see it that way. Well, I won't go fix the issue until they remove it because they're slamming my company. And I'm like, okay, but I understand that you're looking at that from a business. But what happens when you decide to go buy something somewhere? And then you're just reading all the reviews and you only see positives because that business did the same thing you're doing. You would appreciate to know the good and the bad, right? What's most important is how did the company respond and take care of it. Don't deny that a problem exists. Don't sit there and say there's no way, nothing at all, didn't happen, the complete line. I mean, it's possible that it's not maybe as truthful as you encounter the situation to have been. But don't just not look at the feedback. If you're seeing a trend, that happens a lot with us, is we'll reach out to businesses and say, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've noticed in the last year, you've been receiving a lot of complaints regarding delivery issues. Have you ever thought if maybe there's something going on? Is it obviously people ordering too much and supply and demand, you can't meet the demand of it? Have you ever thought about what your process is? Could it be a little bit faster or better or more accurate, or could you inform the consumer more along the way of where the status is at with it? Maybe they just feel like it should have been here yesterday, and you're sitting back thinking, well, no, it takes a typical 7 days. Okay, but are they maybe being more informed of that and educated of how long exactly it's going to take? So just take the time to just kind of sit there and look at the situations and see if there maybe is any areas or process improvements you can make. Don't argue with the reviewer. Again, it's only going to really make more of a negative impact on your business. And then you're truly helping that consumer by obviously continuing this negative feedback, right? You're only going to be assisting them and making your company look in a bad light the more you go back and forth and argue with them. And don't do nothing at all. I know a lot of times the old saying is like, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. No, say something. Acknowledge that your customer submitted a review. Again, positive, negative, or neutral. Acknowledge that. Nothing I think is worse as a consumer is, again, when we talked about like what people do on Facebook as far as they post something in negative interaction and you're dying to see, well, did the company going to do anything about it? Are they going to correct it? Are they going to reach out? Are they going to work with them? And how great it just looks for a company when they say, thanks for the feedback. And I'm not saying you have to put it all out there. Maybe it's as simple as, thanks for your feedback. Reach out to our office and call this number. We'd be happy to assist you in resolving this matter. It could just be acknowledging, but just take the time to acknowledge. If it's a positive review, hey, thank you so much for submitting your positive review. We're glad that you're happy with our service and hope you use this again. Just something, again, to acknowledge that the review exists. For us with complaints, if you don't respond to a complaint, your grade will drastically change because you're just not even giving the time of day to this person for their feedback. You're not even going to try to defend yourself, not going to put anything out there. Plus, it also shows your side of the situation. So if you're able to, hey, well, this isn't our policy, this isn't our practice, this is how we do things, at least you're taking the time to acknowledge that I know you said this is the way we stand. Not always saying you have to give in, but I'm saying, you can even just defend your company, but some sort of response to acknowledge their dissatisfaction.
When the complaint is completely, say it's false, you've done your research, you know that everything, and you've looked at it, and it's just a negative review online, it becomes difficult to respond to that because then you're just arguing or whatever. So what's the best process in those situations where like, we've researched, we know this did not happen, we've done everything we can, and it's a complete misrepresentation of what occurred? What do other companies, or what's your recommendation on that?
So if, like, I'm just going to give you an example. If a consumer says something like, this business charged me $300 and I only owed $3. I don't know. I'm just making up something. And you have an account that says, hey, we only charged you $30, not $300. You know what I mean? This was about a thing. If you want to reach out to the BBB, hear us, and say, hey, he put $300, but really it was $30. Here's documentation that shows otherwise. We'd be happy to reach out to the customer and say, hey, you put $300 in your customer review. It was really only $30. Maybe it was a typo. Maybe you thought differently. But we have proof here, so we need to make sure this is altered or changed, or it's going to have to be removed. If it's something like, I had the salesman come in my home and he promised me I could get a refund if I didn't like the product, and you're sitting there like, well, no, we would never say that. It becomes a little bit more of a he said, she said, right? They're interpreting it one way, we have other ways. No, but we would
substantiated one, like I could say, and it would be more, they charged me this, or this happened, or this was done, and then you have all the records that say, no, none of that is actually what occurred. So we can just submit that.
You could submit that to us and take a look at it. Again, we're always going to see if it's just as simple as, hey, they double billed my account and you're showing, no, we didn't double bill. We'd go back to the consumer and say, hey, show us your bank statements where it actually shows it was double billed. You know what I mean? There are records that they provided us show it wasn't double billed, so we want to see yours.
Post it until that substantiation.
Correct. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Real quickly, I have some in the yellow first. Oh. Okay.
The thing is, my typical average transaction is $35,000 when I do a project. So it's highly nuanced, and so it's complex. But I think this lady answered the question. So if I respond to a rep, I got a complaint and said, this is a highly complex, multi-month project. At that point, would I get representation within the BBB?
So if you were to say, like she kind of mentioned, you're just like, this is, maybe there's something, I thought the project was going to be done in 30 days. And you're sitting here like, well, no, we agreed upon 90 days, it was going to be a few months. And so maybe there's something in there that, I'm just giving an example, you had him sign that said the 90-day agreement or things like that. We may take a look at that and say, hey, well, you actually signed right here where you acknowledged that you knew it was going to be 90 days and wasn't 30.
Well, let me give you a quick example.
Okay.
That's the very cut and dry.
Okay.
This is, we went to dig a hole at the customer site and we hit rock. We had to stop and pull off. Customers complaining now that the project's delayed. It's delayed because we couldn't build on the property. In other words, how do you handle complex? I mean, all the examples you've given today are fairly packaged. but I would argue when you get into legal issues, construction issues, custom build issues, anything that's custom, you get into a level of complexity where the consumer is actually participating in the problem themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you handle that?
But I think that's where you would have to, like, your answer right now is, okay, but there's rock and we can't build. I think that's exactly what your response to the review would need to be, is kind of letting, because obviously others are only seeing one side. Hey, you start a project, you left. Without responding to that, that's going to be the only idea the consumer thinks of. The only thing they're going to think of is, wow, this company came and started a project and left. You would have to respond. And I'm not saying, again, that you have to provide, a 3-paragraph response, but I think that you would have to say, we came out to the home. The only reason the project is being delayed is because there's rock that we ran into, and we're unable to work on this until it gets fixed or until we have this company come in to take it out or whatever it may be. But I definitely think that in those cases, that's going to be reviewed because that's their perception of how the project is going. But I think it's your business's responsibility to make sure that others know there's a reason for why we're doing this. There's a valid reason, and here's what the reason is. And reviewers are very understanding to read both sides. Like I said, we get a lot of consumers that their expectations sometimes are just a little high. And so sometimes you have to sit back and think, well, that's totally understandable. It's just delayed because of this reason. So it is important that your company takes the time to respond and say why. Because again, if you don't respond at all, or if you just leave it like we're not going to respond to this, or we're working directly with the consumer, the only idea that other person, that person reading that recommendation is going to see is, wow, they just started and stopped. So what I would, again, recommend that your business put it in there. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I was actually just wondering how we would go about submitting the documentation support if we did have a false review.
So I have 6 individuals on my conciliation engagement team, and they each handle their assigned letters by company name. So you have a representative for your company. So you could call in and say, my company name is ABC, Nissan, and we would say, okay, that's going to be Nicole. And so Nicole would be the person that you would actually be interacting and emailing with here at the BBB. Mm-hmm. Okay, so sometimes good intentions come across negatively. Keep these things in mind when you're crafting your response. Your reviewers are human beings. They too have feelings, just I'm sure like as you do. So just kind of be mindful of that. Your reviewers are vocal and opinionated. Be mindful that depending how this response goes and back and forth goes could generate other review sites. We see that a lot, unfortunately. People will go to one place and they feel as though the business came back and it kind of ruffled their feathers well, went back and forth in an argument, and all of a sudden you'll notice that 4 other sites also just got the review. So just kind of be mindful that they are opinionated, they are vocal. They're also probably going to go back to their family and their friends now and their own personal Facebooks and their own personal Instagram. And now they're going to start voicing how, oh my gosh, I went to this business to tell them this feedback. Here's how they replied to me. So know that it's not always just contained at one situation. Be mindful that when you're responding, it's likely it could go to others as well. Keep in mind that these are your paying customers. Again, we get a lot of times when people call in and they're extremely upset even with BBB because we posted it. And to keep in mind, this is your customer that really posted it online, or this is your customer that went to any other review site. They paid your company for the service. So just keep in mind that this isn't just anybody out on the street. This is somebody that, depending on how you resolve this issue, could potentially be another future customer for you. We see that a lot too, is people have one bad experience. It doesn't mean that they're totally knocked off the books and they're never coming back, but it is really dependent upon how this situation is handled as far as if this consumer may even come back.
Question.
Yeah.
Can reviewers go back and remove their own reviews?
Yes. So like I mentioned before, we usually see one of 2 ways. Sometimes the reviewer, and again, this is where it goes back to, please don't bribe them or blackmail them to do it. Again, you as a customer as well wouldn't want to know that a business is doing that you're deciding to make a purchase on. But yes, if a consumer says, hey, I ended up getting this issue resolved, they may be able to send us an email from the email address that they submitted the review with that says, I'd like to remove my review. Sometimes you'll see that consumers turn around and post a positive review. Other times, consumers may say, no, I really did have a negative situation with your company, so I'm going to keep it there, but I'm going to repost that it ended up getting resolved, like we talked about before, where they do like a rebuttal. So you do have times, and I can honestly respect those people as well. Hey, I'm not going to deny that there wasn't a problem, because there was, but I'm more than happy to update it so that when people are looking through it, they see that in the end it ended up being resolved. Or that's why I said in your responses, if you end up resolving it, you reach out to the consumer within those 72 hours and you two come to some sort of agreement. In your response, say, thanks, it was great working with you. We ended up resolving this issue. Happy that everything worked out. Just to kind of let people know that it ended up getting taken care of. And your response will be viewed by other potential consumers. So be mindful of that. Again, be mindful that it's going to be seen by others. So make sure that this is the best light and the best response that your company is going to be happy with. Because once it is out there, like we all probably know, when it is on the internet, it is out there. We can do our best to retract it, but you don't know who saved it, who screenshotted it, who put it somewhere, who copied and pasted it somewhere else. So be aware that other people are going to see this. Make sure it is the best way you want your company represented. So what we kind of talked about before was complaints and customer reviews and kind of the differences between the two, because these are two different processes. And it's important to know the names of the different ones, because we will get businesses who call in and say, I just got a negative complaint and I want to know how I should respond. And we'll go searching in their file and we're like, we don't see any complaints. Like, I just got one. I'm like, there's nothing in here. Do you have another company name? Who was it filed by? And really they mean customer review. So kind of make sure that you're, knowing that those are two different names. There's a complaint and there's customer reviews. They are separate and completely different. So with a complaint, and a complaint can affect the BBB letter grade. It will affect the BBB letter grade. So know that if you receive a high volume of complaints, that can actually drive down the rating. And how that complaint ends up being handled or resolved can also affect the rating. A BBB customer review can and will not affect the BBB rating. Okay? So this is just feedback. It's just an open forum for consumers to be able to state their experience with the business. It is not going to affect the rating. Both of them are reportable on your BBB business review for 36 months. So 3 years, it will be on there. The reason that we have the 3 years, some people say, well, why not just a year? Or why not forever? Obviously, if people get, let's say, for example, new management in, sometimes they may have a bad representative at times, but they've come in, somebody new's come in, fresh set of eyes, they're fixing issues. Well, we don't want something that will necessarily haunt them for the next 15 years because they happen to have a bad rep who responded. But at the same time, we want consumers to know that the business, might not be doing so well right now, or they may be doing well right now, but if something happened a year ago, that still could be kind of timely, still could happen again. So it's kind of important. So we feel like it's just a 3-year rule, and that's kind of with everything that we report on. If we report on any investigations, any government actions, any advertising issues that we have with the company, it's always 36 months, 3 years. A business response. So with a complaint, we require that a response be submitted, or your rating will be drastically affected if you do not. That's how important we see responding to a complaint and acknowledging that it's there is. With a customer review, we don't require it. It really is your business's choice. But again, if we're willing to deduct points on a complaint, because that's how vital we feel it is, know that we feel it is extremely vital that you do respond to reviews as well. But again, it's not going to be counted against you. It's not going to be weighed against you, but we do encourage it. Resolution. So with a complaint, you are seeking a resolution. You are wanting something, whether it's a refund, whether it's the issue to be corrected, whether it's to return a product, whether it's to, get further service done to take care of the issue. You're requesting something. You want something from the business. With a customer review, you may want something out of the business, or you just want to give your feedback. Again, customer reviews can be positive, negative, or neutral, so it can go either way. And customer feedback. So with complaints, it's only going to ever be negative. It's a complaint. So it's the only way you're going to get it. With customer reviews, you can see positive, negative, and neutral. So how does your business get BBB customer reviews? Well, you can ask. Just ask. It's very, very simple. It's very quick. Hey, would you mind posting a review on the service you received today? I mean, if you know you have a happy client, you know you just did something for someone and they're really grateful for it, or they're really happy, or they tell you, oh my God, this is awesome, this is great, just ask them, hey, can you please file a review for us? We also give you guys, many of you may have received, Fussing is actually in charge of this, is a customer review toolkit. So we mail these out. So you can actually have a dynamic seal. You can have email signatures that you can add to your email. So whenever you're sending correspondence, if you're somebody who frequently emails out to consumers a lot, window signs, cards, stickers, sample for social media posts, even tips for managing and asking. So it's kind of a nice review kit that can kind of tell you everything and help you out for different ways to help promote your customer reviews. This is the dynamic seal that you guys may see. If you have the old one, make sure you let us know. We're happy to give you a copy of the new one. But this is a seal that can be easily placed on your website. I really encourage you to place this as often as you can. You're more likely to actually get a review of somebody sitting there on the computer and it's right in front of their face. Think about how many times you go to the store and they say something like, if you fill out our survey, you'll be eligible to win. And how many times do you truly go back and do that? Not very often, right? It's not convenient. But if you're already at the computer, if you're already reading an email, and boom, there's a box right there that says, hey, submit a review on us. If you're on a company's website, and boom, it's right there in the corner, submit a review. You're already there, you're probably a lot more likely to go ahead and do it than you necessarily would be the other way around. We also provide an example here of an email signature, so you can add what it kind of would look like to your emails if it feels like something you'd like to add. And how else does BBB Customer Reviews help my business? Well, we offer something here at BBB called star ratings. And star ratings will really affect where the BBB rating and complaint volume merges with the customer review and gives you a star rating. So as soon as you receive a review, you're going to receive a star rating with the BBB. So you kind of see that here, how it looks on that second slide at the bottom of how it'll look there with the star ratings. So again, while it doesn't affect your actual BBB rating, the customer reviews, it can affect your star rating. So obviously positives are weighed so much, negatives are weighed so much into the stars with point deductions. So again, it is important if you are asking for reviews, do your best to also ask for some positive ones. And that is it. That is all that I have for you guys. So, do you guys have any general questions? If you have specific questions about your business, reviews that you've received specifically, I would ask to see afterwards because I don't know your specific situation, but yes.
Just one general question. So, when you respond to a review, positive, negative, or neutral, does that response immediately go to the consumer who posted the review, or does it get vetted through the BBB first?
It will go directly to the consumer and directly get posted, and then it's and we're vetted at the same time. So it all happens all simultaneously.
Have you ever done or looked at a study at the weight of a negative review versus a positive? So, like, you have a positive review and a negative review. In the consumer's mind, the negative review has 95% weight and the positive is, say, 5%.
I've never done a study.
Because I have heard of those studies. They're starting to, because negative reviews hold far more weight than positive reviews. You see positive reviews to be fabricated or potentially paid for, but negative reviews, for some reason, consumers think that they are authentic. So just be wary of that there's a lot of research coming out the power of the negative review versus the positive review.
I think too also is the volume as well. I think if you have a couple, I mean every business is gonna get at least some negative review. It just is. It's gonna make your business more real.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know what? If I can find this study, I think it was out of Duke. They're saying even if you have 20 positive reviews, if you have one negative, the one negative has the same weight as the 20 positive.
Which is why I think that's great to know because I think that's exactly why responding is important to make sure you do.
No, but actually I would argue not responding.
Okay.
Because once the negative review's up, it holds the same weight as all your positives. Don't waste your time. You're done. They stick a fork in it.
But I would disagree in the sense of I think that that's the only impression that consumer is going to have of your business. They're never going to be able to hear the other side. They're never going to know if your company, again, attempted to resolve it, ended up resolving it, or why the company policy is that way. Hey, you're trying to return something after 90 days and we only have a 60-day return policy. I mean, I really feel like that's the last impression that you're going to give that consumer. Is that the impression you want them to leave your company site with?
That's kind of a two-part question in regards to complaints.
Mm-hmm.
If a consumer places a complaint but they don't have an actual request for any type of resolution,
they've left that blank.
Mhm.
How would you recommend a business goes about trying to correct?
So you're actually saying, so an actual complaint.
Filed an actual
Okay.
complaint, and they haven't asked for an actual resolution.
So we have what's something called information only. So when somebody submits an actual complaint, you will receive it, letting you know, hey, somebody submitted a complaint. But we generally just say in there, it's for your information only. It doesn't actually get reported on because we're the same way. What are you wanting? We don't remind you either. So we generally will just, you'll still receive it in like what you would call a complaint form. You'll receive an email or a notification that says, hey, this person filed a complaint. Here's below what they stated in their situation. But if they don't provide us with the desired outcome, we just close it as information only. We do internalize it in our files for information, but again, it's not going to be held against the business because there's no way to really resolve it. They just wanted to let us know. We would refer them more to a review. Even in our information letters that we send the consumer back, we say thanks for the feedback. Know that if this is something you wish to be publicly posted, please, go through our review instead.
And then one that's the rating.
Correct.
And then the second part was also in regards to complaints. If it's something that's out of the BBB's purview,
Mhm.
what is the process of that being closed and dismissed? Or
That as well, it remains internal information, as every correspondence that we ever get always remains internal for information on the business, but it is not something that we pursue, and it does not affect the BBB rating.
I'm curious because I do have one that's pending right now that's completely out of purview. It's funny because it was something that happened like 4 years ago that all of a sudden this person decided to say something and it's
Yeah.
not true, but it's completely out of purview because I know it's.
So it's just resolving right now. It hasn't actually been posted or anything like that.
No, yeah, it was just filed, and I don't know what the process is. That when I see something come back, I would have thought it would have been something that would, hey, this is out of our purview.
So we have when it comes to our complaints, the initial process with our complaints is they're automatically sent through a generated system. So it's not like where reviews, when I said every single time one comes in, it's always looked at by actual eyes. Complaints is a little bit differently. We initially just send it out to the business to say, hey, this is just feedback we got. Here you go, to start the process along. But if you're receiving that information, this isn't something that we would typically handle. Maybe they're complaining about the price of your product. I don't know. Then you would obviously, that's why I say you'd have to call in and say, hey, who's my individual that my company's assigned to? I want to speak with them, and they can pull it out of the queue.
Would you recommend that you just call in instead of responding?
Oh, you could respond as well.
Okay.
It's totally up to you. Oh, yeah. I would say the emails, the tickler, when you respond online, it's a lot faster because it's right there and generated. But there's no problem calling in as well. Mm-hmm. I can even give you the contact information.
Also, in regards to recently, we've noticed that the BBB no longer classifies complaints as resolved, unless there's been like an actual back and forth and actually resolved.
Mm-hmm.
It's a closed, no response from the consumer, which from our business standpoint is kind of difficult in the sense that we have a client where there's more than one administrator and we get complaints for the other administrator sometimes.
Okay.
And so we respond and we say, this isn't our customer, this is, this other company's administrator's company or customer. And then we just get that it's closed. Does the difference between it being closed as opposed to resolved, does that affect our rating? Does that have, and from a consumer standpoint, if I look at that, like resolved obviously is better than closed.
Okay, so I think what you mean when you say close is answered. It's close is answered. That's what ends up being closed at. So we have 3 different closing codes: resolved, answered, and unresolved. So resolved is obviously there was a resolution made. They asked for their money back. They got their money back. Answered would mean something along the lines of the consumer asked for their money back and the business said, this is our policy. This is how it works. We don't issue refunds for this. And maybe the consumer still came back and said, but I was told this is this. But the business said, here's a copy of your contract and this is the way it is. So then we would close that as an answered because we do feel like the business substantiated their side. They stated why they're unable to provide you with your actual refund. They justified their reasoning. So we're going to close it as a neutral closing code of just answered.
And I think that's my question is like for this, it's like if the problem wasn't with us to begin with, so when we just get this like neutral close, it's frustrating to us because we're like, well, their problem wasn't with us.
I would say this is specific to your company, so I'd have to actually see or have the individual that's handling it look into it. Okay, anything else? Okay, that's it then. Thank you.
Let's give everyone a nice round of applause for